I've seen hundreds of videos on social media outlining the problem that young men are struggling.
The statistics are just staggering. 4 times more likely to be addicted, 12 times more likely to be incarcerated.
Women. Only half of single men are actively seeking relationships or even casual dates, according to Pew.
It's harder for boys to flourish if their fathers aren't engaged. It's harder for men to enter occupations where there aren't men. It's harder for boys to do well at school where there are no male teachers to be seen.
In recent years, there has been a noticeable shift in the decline of men's mental health. Economic shifts and a breakdown of traditional responsibilities have redefined the male identity. Issues such as mental health struggles and a lack of emotional support have come to the forefront, highlighting vulnerabilities often overlooked in discussions of male identity. Young men of today are placed under a lot of pressure to redefine their roles in a rapidly changing world. These trends underscore a complex societal landscape where the traditional male archetype faces increasing scrutiny and redefinition. In this series, we discuss common issues plaguing men today in the hopes to spread awareness. In this video, we'll be discussing 3 major reasons why men are struggling today. But before we start, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, share this video with anyone that you think would enjoy this information. And of course, let your thoughts be heard in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about this video, and definitely what are future topics that we can talk about and discuss on here. But that being said, Jordan, you're ready to go here?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
What are 3 major reasons why men are struggling today?
It's a tough one because there's a multitude of reasons as to why men are struggling in a lot of realms or aspects of life. But just for the sake of this, these are 3 main topics that I believe are contributing to where we are today in terms of some of the struggles. So the first one is lack of emotional support. And talking about just the interconnectedness through relationships amongst men in our communities, although it's kind of growing, it's not at a substantial level. We are having some of these conversations that are continuing to evolve, but we're continuing to understand and go through the initial phases of what it's like to have that interconnectedness and support amongst one another. And then the second point within that is that an inability to communicate our feelings in a productive manner. And that stems from, conditioning and not being able to readily identify or speak on our feelings. One of the things that I talk about with our men group in terms of what some of our conditioning is that we don't really have a problem with expressing anger or expressing anything that aligns with the machismo or the macho thing that, is associated with the societal expectations of a man. And so other than that, though, being able to identify whether I'm grieving, when I'm sad, when I'm anxious, all those other broad spectrum of emotions, I think those things are really, really important for us. But then the other thing is just shame and guilt. I think that keeps us in our proverbial shells, whether that's certain things that we have done, things that we have experienced, some things that, fell through for us. I think all of those things and not getting the proper help for those kind of keep us in that proverbial shell that you see a lot of men, if they're being honest with you, kind of deal with. And then that leads me to my second point, which is self-esteem issues. And going back to our point about societal expectations and conditioning, that internalizing of the provider role and its association with identity. So I think a lot of us, and we've talked at this, ad nauseum, of our self-worth being tied directly into what we're able to provide for others and provide to the world. And the inability to break that connection that's kind of helped, kind of fostered in this kind of stress and unwanted emotionality that we have experienced as men, particularly in this day and age. And then feelings of being a failure going directly into that, especially for us as young adults. I think we have this perception of where we're supposed to be at this age, and that it probably didn't happen that way, or maybe it did, but you see other people that are in your peers that are able to do and flaunt certain things, and obviously social media has his hand in that. So it's that perceived pressure of I'm not doing enough, and I think that kind of seeps into us as well. And then just also one of the things that we don't really talk about is just some of those core beliefs that are maladaptive in nature, that may diminish who we are as individuals. And what I mean by core beliefs, for anybody that doesn't know that, is like certain things such as childhood abandonment issues or perfectionistic ways, or any of those things that, we kind of associated from our childhood and that were maladaptive. One of the things that if you come from a single parent household, you may feel some sense of abandonment, and that may shape the schema of how you see things and how you see the world. And that may, bleed into other areas of your life. My last point in terms of the third reasoning would be just a lack of purpose. And one of the things is just not just boredom, I think that is a huge issue, but, in terms of the non-stimulating activities and lack of challenges. But going back to the perceived pressure point, is just job and career. So, what some of our peers are working those jobs where we see that there's limited chances to move up the ranks, right? And not doing the things that they're necessarily passionate about. And so I think that kind of, again, keeps you in that shell, and you kind of believe, like, why am I doing these things? And obviously I respect and understand that there's other circumstances going on, whether you're taking care of your family, taking care of a child, and then obviously with the rising cost of things, and bills. And with a tough job market, I understand we kind of got to do the things that we got to do. But if you work in those jobs, I can understand that there feels no lack of purpose in what I'm doing and what I'm able to provide. Again, going back to our provider kind of mindset to the world and leave as a legacy. And then again, the last point I would make with that is the limited self-knowledge and exploration. So I think just us having a limited scope of what someone is good at, what we are good at or passionate about or values, some of the things that we weren't able to experience as a young person. And as we got older, we just kind of hey, we're just not going to explore these things because it just wasn't, a prevalent thing or something that we weren't taught. And so that just shapes how we focus our energy and gives us a sense of direction. And so if it is a limited scope of what you've been exposed to and those things don't work out, you kind of got to go into whatever box that society kind of pushes you in if you're not able to challenge yourself and you didn't have the opportunity maybe to explore either as a child and or people that were able to kind of foster that in for you as a young adult. So those are the three main reasons for me as to why men maybe experience some of the struggles that they are today.
When I think about the person and the viewer that's going to watch this video, I think it's going to be two different types of people. So there's going to be one type of person that is interested in this topic and wants to learn more about it, right? And then there's going to be the other person that's going to view this video, and they're probably going to be looking for legitimate answers. They're probably going to be dealing with a lot of the issues and points that you have just made. So, in thinking of that person who's probably not in a good headspace, probably has a lot of things going on, a lot of things that they're trying to figure out within their own life. What would you say are some words of encouragement to that person? Kind of just to get them to not feel like the world's crashing down, to give them a sense of hope that they do have the power to get through wherever that they're getting through and see a better side of life.
Absolutely. And I'll start it off with a quote that speaks near and dear to me and I might butcher it, but for lack of a better words, it basically says, if you want to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others. And that leads me into my first point of just being a part of the solution, right? Create that engaging, transparent environment, amongst us group of men who have, particularly, and this is a point I want to hammer in, that have mutual values that you're striving or for, or, some of the things that you are looking for within or want around you within your circle. So just be a part of that solution, right? We just got done talking about, not having that substantial amount of community amongst men where we're able to have transparency and engagement on a genuine level. Well, the thing of it is that it's kind of this bystander effect of everybody kind of looking around like, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? Well, if you have the courage to do it, I really encourage you to take that step and create that engaging environment, because, you're able to set the table for others to, come up, feed off of that, what I'm saying, for others to come out of their shell. And obviously there's going to be some pushback. Obviously there's going to be people that are going to give you a little bit and maybe none at all initially. But if you continue to just at least offer it, I think that's an important piece in terms of creating some purpose for yourself, but also fostering that nurturing relationships that you'll be able to benefit off on a substantial level in the future. And then My other piece of advice is, I'm a Nipsey Hussle fan. If you don't know, you now know, and you kind of see him in the background. But it's a marathon. It's not a race, right? So you're understanding that journey may indeed be one that might take a little bit more time than others, right? And it's, in saying that though, it is normal to feel that pressure to get to that finish line quickly, right? But not at the expense of undermining all the hard work you've done to build a solid foundation for yourself moving forward, right? So, one of the things that I talk about and all the time, and I remind myself of, is we playing a long game, right? We're playing a long game. So understanding that it's small incremental steps into this, and it's just one foot in front of the other. But after saying that, after you create your plan for yourself, you got to understand that there's no faith without action. Is just a dead dream at that point in time. So just understand it's a marathon, not a race. But slow motion is better than no motion at all. But you got to put something in motion over a period of time and just continue to, again, build upon those small incremental steps. And then the last kind of point that I'll make is we just need a whole overall societal shift. I mean, I talk about the interpersonal things, but a lot of the things comes from our environment in terms of what we're able to take in and what we're able to our perspective on things. So we just have to encourage others to explore other options that may be outside of what we've been typically exposed to, right? So one of the things that I know for us as Black people, and particularly for us, as former athletes, is sports is put upon as lawyers, doctors, all those other things, and that's fine. Like there's a lot of great things that you're able to do within those realms, but I think it's really, really important to inspire those to be, in other fields, and to be creators, like artists and journalists and all those other things that we might not typically see our space, even though if we don't have that at our disposal, or we might not know much about it today. I think it's important to open up that Pandora's box to allow people to be creative, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just have not been exposed to what they're truly talented at and haven't had that opportunity. So I think we just need not only a societal shift, but a cultural shift within ourselves to push people to look past beyond the borders of what we kind of confined ourselves into, in regards to careers that we want to pursue and the purposes that are central to our identities.
While we focus on men's mental health, we at Mend the Podcast would like to express that this advice can be applied to all people. Whoever you are and wherever you are, we hope that this information can help you overcome the struggles in your life. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the other videos on our channel. And as always, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.